Welcome to part 2 of this video series. I'm so excited you decided to click and continue following me in this series. So if you're here, you probably already listened to the first part of this video series about what a change agent is and what are some of the common qualities. But one of the missing pieces of a change agent is having a repeatable framework to actually becoming one. Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the mindset of change enthusiasm, a repeatable framework to help you grow through change. You ready to hear it? Let's get it. The term change agent is used all over the place, and it has so many different adaptations and different meanings depending on what organization you're engaging in or what consulting company you've hired. And it was actually originated from back in the 1940s. But what's missing about this language is having a repeatable framework to actually become a practicing change agent. Well, in this video, I'm going to be introducing the concept of change enthusiasm, a mindset that's taking the business world by storm. I'm also going to be sharing a very clear definition of what a change enthusiast is, and how you can take the very first step to becoming one to help accelerate your growth through even your greatest change challenges. So what is change enthusiasm? Well, this is a framework that I created and have now built a multi-million-dollar consulting company behind. And it's a framework to be used by the individual, either leading, experiencing, or going through really major change, growth, or disruption. And it's a 3-step mental framework. The steps are the signal, the opportunity, and the choice. Now, the first step, the signal, it's these really difficult emotions of change, the fear, the frustration, the anger, the anxiety, those feelings that you just want to run away from, that you just want to escape, that are always seemingly there when we're going through a really big change challenge, especially in our work. Well, in this first step, it's about acknowledging the existence of these emotions. And it's really about knowing you, right? How does fear manifest through my body? What does frustration look like? What does anger feel like? Like, I can tell you, whenever I'm feeling frustrated or angry, my body always gives me cues, right? My mouth will go dry, the hair on the back of my neck will stand up, and my fists will almost involuntarily ball up, especially when I'm feeling a lot of anger. But it's those physiological cues that help me realize this emotional energy is being inspired within me. I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling anxiety, or I'm feeling anger. And that's what the first step of change enthusiasm is all about. Recognizing these emotions and accepting and trusting that they exist for a reason. They exist to serve you. Once you've accepted that invitation and trusting that they're there for a reason, you move into the second step, and that's the opportunity. This is really where all the work happens. This is where you're trying to understand what is here for me to learn. What is this change presenting me with such that it's going to work for me as opposed to against me? And this is where you're weighing options. How can I learn in this moment? Learn about myself, my likes, my dislikes, learn about my peers, my colleagues, my best relationships, my clients, my partners. What can I learn in this moment? And then once you've weighed all those options on how you can move forward in a productive way, you're then moving to the third step, the choice. Through the power of choice, we can begin to transform that signal emotional energy of change into what I call the growth sustaining emotions of change. It's like transforming anxiety of all the negative implications into anticipation of how much you'll learn, how much you'll grow because of that change. Now, I just want to reiterate, because of the name of this mindset, this is not about blind or toxic positivity. It's not about always being enthusiastic about change no matter what. Rather, it's about facing the real difficulty, the real challenge of change, and accepting that that emotional energy exists for a reason. They are our gifts. They're the greatest inheritance of our species. And through the power of choice, we can become empowered to transform that energy into our fuel. So this is about recognizing the difficulty of change, accepting and trusting that it presents an opportunity for us to become better today than we were tomorrow, and then choosing from what we have control over, choosing how we show up, how we experience, how we navigate and lead through that change. And here's the reality. You're going to face an infinite amount of change, right? In your personal and your professional life, just in life in general. And with every one, you'll be invited right back into that first step, right? Inspired by those signal emotions, invited to practice these steps over and over. It'll become a growth cycle, right? This is not a one and done. This is not, okay, I'm a practicing change enthusiast. I went through steps 1, 2, and 3. I made a choice, and now I'm good to go for the rest of life. No. You have to practice this on a consistent basis. And the more times you practice these steps 1, 2, and 3 over and over, making those revolutions in the change enthusiasm growth cycle, you're literally going to be rewiring the chemistry of your brain, right? Forming new neural pathways, strengthening your resilience muscle. I am a firm believer that resilience is not anything that we're born with. It's got to be ripped and stretched and torn to get built up over time. And we do that through the practice of experiencing change and ultimately through the practice of this mindset. So the more revolutions you make, the more times you can work these steps, work this very repeatable framework, you're going to be nurturing your resilience. And you'll find you'll spend less time in those signal emotions of change and more time in the growth sustaining emotions, that anticipation, that excitement, enthusiasm, hope, and gratitude. By the way, if you're digging this content, like, subscribe, click the notification bell. I do videos like this all the time, and I want to make sure that you have the value, have the content. So make sure you like, subscribe, and you'll be told immediately when a new video drops. Okay, let's get back into it. So what is a practicing change enthusiast? Well, to put it very simply, it is one who practices change enthusiasm, who actively seeks to recognize and acknowledge the more difficult emotions of change, those signal emotions. And by the way, through our research and the work that I've done with clients all over the world, we've nailed them down to 5 of the most commonly felt difficult emotions through change. It's fear, frustration, anger, anxiety, and grief or loss. And as a practicing change enthusiast, you recognize when those difficult emotions are existing or inspired within you, and then you see them as gifts, trusting they exist to serve you, to invite you into your greatest moment of opportunity to grow. And so a practicing change enthusiast sees opportunity in all change. Opportunity for themselves to grow, opportunity to grow their business, to grow towards their greatest success goals and, their greatest endeavors and career goals. Now, a practicing change enthusiast also recognizes the power of choice, the power that they have to choose how they experience change, how they show up, how they lead, how they inspire, and how they navigate that change. That's what a practicing change enthusiast will actually lean into doing. Now, again, this is not someone who's overly optimistic, always trying to find, the enthusiasm and kind of being blind to the more difficult part of change. But on the contrary, a practicing change enthusiast recognizes, welcomes the difficulty of change, knowing that those emotions that are associated with the difficulty invite them in to their moments of opportunity to grow. They fully embrace that zone of discomfort and all those emotions that come with it because they see it as a growth zone. If they're feeling those emotions, it means they're a moment of opportunity to grow, to evolve, to become better. All right, so what are the steps you can take today to become a practicing change enthusiast? Well, I would say it really starts with getting to know you. The first part of putting this mindset into practice is recognizing when the difficult emotions are inspired. What does your body do, right? What are those physiological cues for you when you're feeling frustration, anger, or fear? You can't really practice this mindset if you're not in tune with your own emotional energy, because it's that energy that you need to be using for fuel. It's that energy that invites you into your moment of opportunity. So the more in tune that you can be with your own emotional energy, the better enabled you're going to be to practice this mindset and see opportunity and change while maximizing those opportunities. Now, the easiest way for you to do this is maybe take the week to create an emotional inventory journal. So at the end of every day, capture on a page the various emotions that you might have felt throughout the day. What inspired those emotions? What were your physiological responses? Did you sense that your fists were balling up? Did you get sweaty? Did your feet not stop tapping? Right? As you take that emotional inventory throughout the week, you're going to start recognizing patterns. All right? When I feel frustration, here's what my body does. When I feel anger, here's what my body does, and maybe here's what my natural reaction is. You'll also start seeing patterns around what instances, maybe the type of work you do, or the interactions that you have that inspire the strongest signal emotions. And of course, that's going to cue you as you move forward in the practice of change enthusiasm, highlighting where there might be opportunity to grow or to learn, to evolve. As you strive to practice change enthusiasm, have fun with this, and also grant yourself grace. That if you're feeling those signal emotions, if you're in the darkness, you're in the depth of your frustration, your anger, you're feeling like these emotions are just debilitating you, know that it's okay. Grant yourself the grace to feel those emotions, allowing them to exist. And then I would just invite you to trust that if they're there, if you're feeling them, they're signaling you into your greatest moment of opportunity to grow, to become better. If you're feeling that depth of emotion, you're about to become better. All you have to do is trust and allow. All right, if you dug this content, I got something for you that you don't gotta pay for. It is for free. So as the inventor of this framework of change enthusiasm, of course, I wrote a book about it, and I want to gift you a free chapter from that book, the introductory chapter. And it shares with you these 3 steps, as well as some tips on how to begin putting them into practice and really bringing the concepts to life. And it's yours today for free. All you got to do is click the link below. I want to make sure you have the research, the insights, and the tools to enable your growth and success through even your greatest change challenges. I'm Cassandra Worthy, and until we meet again, keep growing and keep rocking.